I always do this. I forget to take down. What if I could just, you know, smush it? That'd be great. Anyway, we'll get rid of this thing. That's how you know I am not doing this. Hey, there we are. All right. Welcome everybody to Iconical. I'm glad everybody could make it tonight. Hopefully, you got some other people coming in. First, let's start off with the sponsors. TinyDogCoffee.com, all the way up in the corner here. It's weird when you have to work with doing the opposite stuff on the camera. TinyDogCoffee.com. They have amazing flavors. I was not a coffee drinker until I actually tried this stuff out. So if you guys want some excellent flavors, some excellent day roasted coffee beans, go to TinyDogCoffee.com. Also, Norse-Hall.com. So Norse Hall, made in West Virginia. Okay. Some of the best damn hot sauce I've ever had in my life, and I am not a big hot sauce guy, to be honest with you. But when I did try this stuff, I can't lie. It's got great flavor. Everything is made right there where they create the magic. Okay, so they have uh, everything is fermented exactly where they are putting all of the hot sauce together, where they're bottling it, everything like that. And these are personal people that I've met before they actually created this business. And he actually told me that it was going to take off faster than I thought, and it did. And now they have this amazing mead to go along with stuff. So Norse-Hall.com if you guys have any interest. Also, I will throw in that Iconical has a 50% off right now until September 1st. So if you guys go to iconicalwear.com and type in HOT50, HOT50, you'll get 50% off, but only until September 1st. After that, it's done. There's no mas finito. It is over. And trust me, you can get, you guys see all the stuff that this is all the merchandise. Okay, you got sweatpants in the back over here. You can see this shirt. Some of my friends even have to tell me that their wife has to, they have to forcefully take it off because it is that, it feels that good on you. Um, so going to iconicalwear.com, code HOT50, get 50% off. Limited time, September 1st. It's done. It's over with, kaput. And one other thing, I started writing for fantasy football. If you want a little bit of fantasy football knowledge, just the basics, and sometimes I dive into some really good stuff. So far, I've gotten 3 articles up. If you want, follow me at LWOS Brian on X or Twitter for you old heads for some fantasy football advice. I know that the football season is right around the corner. I have a draft tomorrow, which I'll be going live doing that. I have, I think, 4 drafts this weekend. Okay, we have dynasties, we have everything. If you guys want more knowledge and you don't want to feel left out, go to LWOS Brian on X or Twitter. LWOS stands for Last Word on Sports. They have some really, really good articles and extremely good writers that I've hooked up with, and they have given me lots and lots of tips on how to do things. So if you guys want to check that out, LWOS Brian on Twitter. But today, since the football season is right around the corner, okay, there has been debate and talks, and for years now, is Joe Douglas on the hot seat for the New York Jets? Does that go along with Robert Saleh? Is Robert Saleh on the hot seat? These are things that I listen to. Let's Talk Jets Radio. I listen to Jake Asman. I listen to Jets, Ian from Jet Central, a whole bunch, a slew of them. Okay, I listen to all of them. Everybody's got really, really, really good takes, and not all of them are the same, and that's kind of the point. You don't want everybody to be the same. And my thing is this: we just cut down to the 53 man. Okay, I'm a huge Jets fan. We all know this. Okay, I pride myself on being a Jets fan. Um, But I have a different mindset of how Joe Douglas has done. Everybody says that he has failed. Like his draft picks, he has busted on most of them. Most GMs do, in my opinion. In my opinion, most GMs, their draft picks are not exactly what you think they're going to be. But I wanted a little bit of help on this. And somebody who is well spoken, somebody who has a platform of their own, and at a younger age was actually talking very, very intelligently and knowledgeable and like wisdom like. So I wanted to bring him on, and let's give it up for Bubbs. Bubbs, what's going on, dude?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. How you feeling, dude? How's are you ready for the season? I guess.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's the most hyped up season in a while. Hopefully, if they're healthy, this team should be 11, 12 wins, get a home playoff game, and go from there. That's my baseline expectation for this season. So
I
definitely
hear you
fired
on
up.
that. Yeah. So let me ask you this then. If that is, let's take that out. If that's the case, right? When was the last time you've heard anybody say this, or you've even mentioned 10 to 12 wins for the New York Jets?
It's, I mean, a little bit maybe last year, a
Yeah.
little bit with Rodgers coming in, but I think even last year you still knew that going into the season there was some issues with the offensive line. They didn't have a healthy offensive line until the end of training camp.
No.
Um, I mean, even after 2015, going into 2016, even though they won 10 games, I don't think there was any high expectations there. You had the Fitzpatrick contract stuff. I mean, I would say maybe last year, if anything, and then you'd have to go all the way back to 2009, 2010, since you've had a roster this talented and expectations this high.
I'd see the ticket at that time. That was
Really?
awesome. That was an awesome
Yeah.
time to have season tickets, man. Let me
Yeah.
tell you.
Last time they
Um,
were relevant.
how old were you then, dude?
Like 4, probably 3, 5, maybe. I don't remember.
Dude, dude, you are. You're. Do you understand like what you just said? You're killing it. How old are you?
18.
Dude, you're 18. You're killing it right now, dude.
Thank you. Appreciate
That's
it.
awesome. And I like the sign, dude. The sign is dope. I mean, both
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
the Jets
Both
one.
of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I got this one for, I want to say Christmas, and this one for my birthday, I think. Or yeah, it's tough. Here it is.
Who got you the one for your birthday, dude?
My parents got me one for my birthday.
That's
So
solid, dude. That
yeah,
that works.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's been I've gone a pretty long way here with the setup. Try my best. So
Yeah, I mean, I had to create this whole room over here. You know what I mean? I didn't want to make it
yeah.
cluttered and stuff too. So it's you know what the weird thing is? The green light doesn't show up green.
Oh, and is that the one behind you?
So that's blue. I have blue. I'll show you what the green
Okay.
looks like real quick. So the green looks that's green.
Oh yeah.
Kind of looks like
Interesting.
a aqua, right?
Yeah, it looks like more of like a dolphin's color.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely not trying to do
Oh yeah.
that. um yeah, I don't know exactly. I could switch it to all these different other colors, which is kind of cool. I like this thing, but we'll just keep it to blue. Make it a little
I like
poppy. The Mets
yeah.
won today, so I'm
Oh,
satisfied with blue.
yeah.
You know.
Got blue for both ways. Yankees, Mets. It's all good.
Yeah, yeah,
Got
yeah.
the blue right here, so blue's
So
good. I
before
like blue. Blue's my favorite color. So
is it?
yeah, blue and orange. I grew up more of an orange guy, but as I've gotten older, with my logo being blue, I'm more blue now. So
So if you're blue and orange, how come you just didn't become a Mets fan?
yeah, it's a good point. Good point.
That's a,
But
you
I
were
got
bred for it, my friend.
yeah, grew into the Yankees fandom and the Jets fandom, unfortunately.
Not for nothing though. I won't knock the fact that like when the Yankees are playing, I'm a Yankees fan. I'm a Mets fan first, right? As
Mhm.
just as long as they're not playing the Mets, I'm a Yankees fan too. I'm not one of those Yankee haters, and I'm the same thing with the Giants too. So New York is New York, except for Buffalo Bills. I'm sorry, that's
Yeah, they're not New York.
that's a
That's
no
Canada.
fly zone.
Yeah, I can't stand the Bills fans that are like, "Oh, the New York Jets and the New York Giants, they play in Jersey." I'm like, you practically play in Canada. If you say we play in Jersey, then you're in Canada. I don't want to hear it. The Bills are I
Yeah,
do
they're
not.
they're
I
never gonna feel like the
No,
the crowd of New York City,
nope, exactly.
and
They're,
and that right there is the heart of New York.
yep, they don't get the media. Sports radio in New York's not talking about the Bills. They're talking about the Jets. They're talking about the Giants. Not talking about the Sabres, definitely. So now
The
Buffalo's like its own world up
Yeah.
there. So
There's a lot of people that went to University of Buffalo for like radio broadcasting and such, and like that's a big thing for going up there and doing that. I guess you can't be outside for too long, so they have to do
no,
stuff indoors.
yeah, yeah, those winters up there are crazy.
So let me get your opinion before we dive into the New York Jets. Okay, I want to get your opinion on because we're strolling into the playoffs here with the MLB. All right,
Mhm.
let me get your opinion on the New York teams right now. I know the Mets won today, but it's looking wish washy if they can make it in. If they're coming in, they're squeaking in. It's not going to be easy. And the Yankees just seem to have a pretty good. I don't know that whole division is disgusting, to be honest.
Yeah, it's both teams are an interesting spot. I think for you look at the Yankees perspective, you got off to the really, really hot start. They were rolling. It looked like this team was different. Volpe was playing well. Judge, of course, outside of the slow April, was starting to tear it up. Soto's been good all year. Judge has been historically good again. This is better than what he did in 2022, which I don't think anybody thought was possible.
Mm.
But you've got some bullpen concerns. You have some questions outside of Garrett Cole, when it comes to the starting rotation. You've got some concerns about the lineup outside of Judge and Soto. So I think for the Yankees, you're kind of rolling into the postseason like they've been the last couple years, where you're not really that optimistic that they're going to be able to take it home. The only
Mm.
thing that they have going for them is it's wide open, and the entire MLB is wide open. I mean, I think this is the first year since I think it was 2014 where we're not going to get a team that's going to finish over 100 wins, which is just crazy. And that benefits the Yankees because it's wide open and all it takes is one team to get hot. You look at the World Series last year, nobody saw the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks getting all the way, and there they were. So, look, if Judge and Soto remain hot, they will. Judge produces in the playoffs. You get Cole doing what he's been able to do, and then you have Jazz, who's been a really nice pickup from an offensive perspective. Has had some problems at third base, trying to learn a new position there, which you're just going to have to kind of roll with some of those struggles, unfortunately. But that's kind of what the Yankees get for delaying this process and trying to move guys around all the time. But you also need Verdugo to get going. If they hit, they're going to have a chance. The biggest problem with the Yankees in the postseason has been their inability to hit. It actually hasn't been their pitching. Their pitching's usually pretty good in the playoffs. It's their
Yeah.
hitting. So we'll see. I mean, Glaber's, you have some questions about him. What is Rizzo when he comes back? LeMahieu's shot. I don't even know why he's still out there. He should have been DFA'd. So I'll be honest, I think this will probably end the way it's ended with the Yankees. I don't expect them to go on to win a World Series, but look, if they get hot, there's any team can win. And for the Mets, the slow start, I think it might be a little too much for them because you have an excellent June, you have a really good July, and now you're slowing down. August was pretty poor. 4-3 so far on the road trip, but it's the ways they're losing is what stings. I think about the Mets is they should have swept the Diamondbacks. The Diaz, the grand slam yesterday by Corbin Carroll was brutal after making that comeback. You do get the win today, so you fight back, you scratch, you claw, which has been kind of the story of the Mets this year. When they get knocked down, they get back up. But the problem is the Braves just keep winning. And I think the last I checked, they were beating the Phillies before I came on here. So I think they're 4 games back now. If the Braves keep winning, are they going to be able to do enough? The Mets need to start consistently winning. I think right now they're kind of hovering over, winning 2 or 3, then they split, then they lose a series and they win 2 or 3. Like they need to go on a 6-7 game heater if they really want to get into this thing, if they really want to jump the Braves potentially. But I think they're the furthest out of the wild card spot since June 8th. It's 4 games back. They've been kind of around that 1-2.5 mark, but with the Braves winning, then they've slowed down a little bit. I think the biggest thing with the Mets is their bullpen. Diaz is not what he was in 2022. He looks more like the Diaz prior to 2022, which is a concern. But you do have Vientos, who's playing well. Alonso, if he can get hot, that's obviously a big piece. He's all year, he's kind of been just riding along. You're waiting for him to have that real power surge that we've seen him have in past years. So both teams in interesting spots. I will say, though, the Mets rotation this year, I think, has been better than a lot of people thought. And I think it's kind of been the opposite. At times, the Yankees rotation's been disappointing. It just took Garrett Cole the last 3 starts to really get into a groove. Severino's been really good, which is shocking considering last year he was pretty much unpitchable for the Yankees
Yeah.
with an ERA at near 7. So, if I had to guess, I think it's going to be tough for the Mets to get in. But look, you got one more month left. Did they go on a heater and the Braves fall off? And the Braves have had so many injuries. Strider goes down, Acuna goes down, Matt Olson hasn't been hitting. At some point, it might catch up to them. It hasn't yet, so we'll see. But it'll be an interesting kind of transition into fall, October for sure.
Yeah, I think right now is the mental part of the game, right? You're tired at the end of the
Yeah.
season. How much you got left in the tank? Is it mind over matter, or like what are we doing right now to make sure that we can mentally pick ourselves up and push through this? And this isn't just for the Mets. This is for every baseball player that gets
Yep.
on the field and plays on the diamond, right? And I believe that Chisholm was a great pickup. Like I was wondering when they were. I was even thinking that D Gordon was going to be out of there too. Right. I didn't know where he was going to go or anything. I don't think he went anywhere. But that is a great pick. Chisholm has a lot of speed, dude, and he's a great slap hitter. He can get on base. He's that guy that will always be a pain in the butt when he's on the base because he has the speed to go from first to second, and your catcher better be on his P's and Q's. So and he can easily stretch a single from first to third. You know what I mean? And that makes it
Mhm.
so much easier for those RBIs to accumulate. Um, in my opinion, with the Mets, it seems like ever since they got their new pitchers, I'll say that they kind of went slumdogging. Like they're picking up the bottom of the barrel people and hoping for the best, and it seems like their bullpen actually collapsed when they did that. That's kind of what it looks like. And I'm sitting here like, was this a good idea to kind of do this? Or because at one point, I think we won like 25 out of 30 games, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was a nasty run. And then all of a sudden, All Star break comes, and then we all know what happens after the All Star break. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It was. Yeah. I think it's interesting. A lot of Mets fans, and I would say this too, even not as a Mets fan. If I was a Mets fan, I would have liked to see them go more all in and just uh, bringing in, Ryan Stanek to the bullpen and then Paul Blackburn. I would have liked to see them go out and get a higher leverage arm for the bullpen and a much higher end starter for the rotation, which is what they needed. They needed a legitimate ace with Kodai Senga only, unfortunately, pitching one game and then now misses the rest of the season with another injury. So that stinks for him after he really showed out last year in his first season coming over from Japan. So yeah, I think there's definitely some disappointment for Stearns and Cohen that they didn't go out and do more at the deadline. But I think also part of their mindset is the fact that this was supposed to be a retooling year and you don't want to give up a ton of assets for a team that really you didn't go all in with in the first place. If you kind
mhm.
of just ride this year out, a lot of these guys are on 1 year contracts. I mean, this is a team that you're looking at that next year could be completely different. Um, so it puts them into an interesting spot, but the way it started, they've at least given you something to root for. At the beginning of the season, it looked like it was going to be a lost year, finished well below 500. I mean, maybe even as bad as the Nationals. That's how bad it looked early on. They've given you something to root for. And look, even month left, even though it's looking like the wild card's slipping away, you still are in it. And, all it takes, like I said, is you got the White Sox coming up. You sweep the White Sox. You win 3 straight. You go on a
Mhm.
little bit of a run. The door is still open. It might not be as open as it was about a month ago, but it's still open for them to make a run here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's and this is the thing. If they don't, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like it's what the Mets do to you. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
have a lot of friends right now where it's just like, dude, we're gonna make it. I said, look, just hold that thought. Okay. Don't be surprised if they don't. And then, you have these people, yeah, but they're right there. I understand that, but I also know what it's like to be a realistic Mets fan and a
Yeah.
realistic Jets fan. Okay.
Yep.
And I remember at one point where the Mets needed, I think it was 1 or 2 wins, and they lost 19 straight.
Yeah.
19 straight. And they didn't make the playoffs.
It's
That was
almost
when
like oh, you could go. Yeah.
I was going to say that's when Jose Reyes was on the team.
Oh yeah, that's a while back. But yeah, when I remember, I mean, you go back to 2022 season where they had a chance to take the division. They went into Atlanta, and all they had to do was win one game and ended up getting swept. And then that, of course, trickled into the wild card series where they lost to San Diego. All it took was one win, and they would have won the division. And instead, they get swept. They got to play a wild card round, and they lose 2-3 to San Diego. And now, of course, that was it because last year was a disaster. Now you're here 2024. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah, that's kind of always been the story for the Mets. They start strong, finish pretty lousy usually. This year was a little bit different. They started slow, middle of the year was going strong. Now they're finishing lousy. So this year's kind of been like three different seasons for the Mets, which
yeah,
is usually not the case. Usually it's the opposite. They start strong and finish slow. This year it's kind of been start strong, good. It's like bad, good, bad. So
yeah. I can see that. Let me see what we got here. Um, with that, I was gonna pull across. I just want to make sure I have the right one. Um, the depth chart for the Jets, real quick. Everybody has a different version of this whole depth chart, man.
oh, like on the team sites.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
everything's that's fine, but I mean like what we got. No, okay. I didn't want to like. I wasn't gonna like run through it like crazy, but what are your opinions on the New York Jets final 53 man roster? Was there anything surprising that you thought?
Um, not really. I mean, I look, it's a loaded roster.
Mhm.
It's this is the most talent we've seen on a team. We kind of talked about in the open in a very, very long time. Much
Yeah,
more talented than last year's team going into the season. No doubt about that. Much more healthier team going into the season. Knock on wood, it's been a pretty healthy training camp and preseason, which has been great.
yeah.
In terms of surprises, not a ton. I mean, maybe them keeping Izzy Abanaconda was a little bit of a surprise, although in my final 53, I had them keeping him. But for some Jets fans, keeping a fourth running back did come as a surprise. I will say what was a surprise for me that wasn't on the initial 53. It actually happened yesterday when
Mhm.
they brought in Brendan Bates and then they released Jason Brownlee. I was a little surprised to see them at first go with just two tight ends,
Yeah.
put Yabo on IR, and then bring in Brendan Bates and then release Brownlee. I personally like Brownlee a lot more as a receiver than Irv Charles or even Brandon Smith. I thought he had a little bit more upside, but the Jets
Yeah.
value Irv Charles a lot as a special teams guy, as a gunner, and they're still trying to find that replacement for Justin Hardy. So I can understand it from that perspective, why they would cut him, open up a door for a tight end, which they needed. They could not have went into week one with just two tight ends because you're one Jeremy Ruckert or Tyler Conklin injury away from being really thin at that position, especially when you want to run 12 personnel with
Yep.
both of them out there. So that was Brownlee going a little bit of surprise. Um, I would say all three UDFAs, I didn't see that happening personally. I saw
There
them
you go.
holding on to
Trying to make it a little easier for you. That way you can see some names there. I don't. Can you
yeah,
read that?
yeah, I got it. So yeah, all three UDFAs, I thought they would only hold on to two. I thought they would hold on to McGregor and Leonard Taylor and then
Mhm.
keep Jack McKinley as well, and it would cut Eric Watts. They turn out they hold on to all of them. So they hold on to 10 defensive linemen, and that's not even counting Hassan Reddick and Lecky Fotu, who starts the season on IR. So once Reddick's activated, hopefully eventually, and then Lecky Fotu's activated after the 4 weeks of IR, two of those guys would have to be dropped down. I'd probably assume it would probably be Watts. And then, maybe it depends on who's performing the first couple weeks of the season. If they wanted to open up an interior spot, it could be Leonard Taylor would be their one to get dropped down. But I think it's just a testament to this coaching staff, or they could even drop down a Chaz Surratt or somebody else. They don't have to drop down somebody on the defensive line if they want to maybe hold 11 once those guys come back. But I think the defensive line is just a testament to this coaching staff, a testament to Douglas. He's
Mhm.
had an ability to find under the radar pieces. I mean, you go back to Quincy Williams, get cuts by Jacksonville. They bring him in. He turns into an all pro. You even look at, while they're not on the team anymore, unfortunately, but Bryce Huff and JFM. Bryce Huff, a UDFA. JFM was a guy that got cut that they brought in. So to bring in Tack McKinley, a reclamation project, a former first round pick that didn't work out in Atlanta, career kind of went off track, didn't play at all last year. Bring him in, see what they turned him into to make the 53. And in the UDFAs, of course, as well. Douglas and his coaching staff have had a knack for finding these guys, just transforming them into not just underrated players to good players, but literally taking Quincy Williams to be an all-pro. I'm not saying Tack McKinley is going to turn into an all-pro, but they're just guys to look for that could play a big role here. I was really impressed with McKinley. I thought he was one of the most impressive players at camp overall, not counting, of course, Rodgers and all them tearing it up. But McKinley I loved what I saw from McKinley. Went to 4 practices, and his speed off the edge was just was so present, so noticeable. Had probably 6-7 sacks. One day I registered him, he had about 3 sacks in one practice. So good to see him make it. But I guess if those were some of the surprises or some of the big takeaways from the roster.
Yeah, going back to what you're saying, they do have a knack for creating defensive players, right? I mean, we're still working on the offensive side, but we know where these guys came from. They come from a hard nose of 49ers defense, right? This is where all these coaches had come from. And let's not forget, to some people that do forget, that the Jaguars completely let go of him.
Yep.
And we picked him up and created him into something. Or I don't want to say created him. We pulled out the best of him. That's what we did. So that's why, and this is Bubbs, this is where I'm going to get into a whole lot. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this kind of stuff right now, but this is why I say the Bryce Huff move was perfect. And I'm going to get a lot for saying that. I'm going to get a lot, okay? Because let me explain this, okay? He was a UDFA, right? He's a UDFA, and I get it. And he played great. Did he need some help on the run? He did. He needed some help on a running aspect. That's fine. But everybody's like, people say, well, they said they wanted to pay their players. They do. They want to pay their players. That doesn't necessarily always mean that we are going to pay them. They're going to set them up to make sure that they succeed inside of the NFL. And not for nothing, they're going to play their asses off here in New York. Now, if we would have had a quarterback that didn't get hurt, and we had that defense last year, okay, we would have more than 7 wins. We've talked about this. Everybody's talked about this, right? Okay. We would have had a UDFA at the least amount of pay, sent him off to go get a contract, and then we get comp picks. That is a business move. In my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right, but that's a business move. And we can keep generating that because we have the coaches on defense in order to facilitate those kind of moves, to build these players up and send them out.
Yeah, and that's been one of the things that I think, out of everything that has gone wrong with the Jets since Saleh took over, right? We can knock Saleh for so many different things, whether it's accountability, just his really accountability is the big one. In-game situation, clock management's been bad. He always kind of just doesn't do a whole lot on the sidelines.
Just got that lost look.
Yeah, he just seems very in over his head, which is a lot of different things that need to go wrong for that to happen. But one thing we have to give credit to Saleh for is he's got his hands on a top 5 defense, and he's got his hands on all of these guys developing into what they've turned into. I don't think Bryce Huff would maybe be the player he was if it wasn't for Saleh, and Ulbrich as well. Ulbrich's been huge along this process as well, and even the defensive line coach as well has been crucial with some of these guys producing and some of these guys turning into really, really quality pieces. But yeah, I mean, that's the interesting part with the Jets is now they're in a tough spot next year, specifically next offseason as well, not to look too far ahead, but where they're going to have to start keeping some of their own guys, because now the Jets have kind of turned into, on defense, Bryce Huff, you talked about it, him leaving, of course, and then even they traded JFM, but the Jets are now in a situation where they've got to kind of like replenish the talent. They're like a talent factory now on defense where it used to be with the Jets. And you can make a case to an offense with Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. Forever with the Jets, they always had to go out and find other teams' top players and overpay for them and try and bring them in. Now it's the opposite. Now the Jets have to find ways to retain their own guys, and there's going to be guys that the Jets are going to let go. They're going to be high-priced free agents that are going to go elsewhere, and that's a credit to, I think, at times the coach staff, a credit to Douglas with some of the draft picks he's hit on, the 2022 draft specifically. Sauce going to have to get a big deal, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, all those guys, but Yeah, that's where the Jets are at. Even Tyler Conklin, Michael Carter II, DJ Reed, they'll all be looking for new contracts. So they're going to have to kind of replenish that. If DJ Reed goes, then it might be a Stiggers or somebody else who steps up, who I thought had a really good training camp. So yeah, the Jets are. I think it's just a testament to how talented they are from a depth perspective too, where they have some of these guys that fly under the radar and step up as starters.
That's what, dude. Honestly, that's why I think he got stickers, and he's getting these guys ready for the exits of DJ Reed, and they're playing this smart, I believe. So I know that a lot of people want to hold on to these people, but realistically, who are we going to hold on to? The stars, probably. You know what I mean? Like we're probably going to hold on to obviously Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. You know what I mean? Iron sharpens iron. Brees Hall, probably. In my opinion, will they hold on to MC2? I don't know. That one for me, it's a question mark. Does it say that he deserves to get paid? It does. It does. He deserves to get paid. He is the best nickel corner in the game, slot corner in the game. Like he's the best in there. That
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean we're going to pay him because we are going to have to pay Jermaine as well. We're going to have to pay all these other guys. Are you going to overpay for a slot corner? Because he's going to deserve that top tier for that position.
Yeah, yeah. I think he'll probably right now the top slot is I think 10.25 million per year, which is Teron Johnson of the Bills. I believe he surpassed Kenny Moore this offseason with a brand new contract.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll pay. Personally, this is what I think would happen. I would love to keep them both, and that's gonna be the unfortunate part of.
The
I think
business.
yes, yeah, exactly. That's the best way to put it. It's the unfortunate part of business. You put it perfectly there. Some of these guys that you fall in love with. DJ Reed has been one of the best acquisitions free agent wise. Douglas has whiffed on a lot of free agents. DJ Reed was one of his biggest hits, maybe his best free agent signing. He's come
Yeah.
in and turned into a legitimate number two alongside Sauce. And I think DJ Reed, when he hits the open market, is going to look for number one cornerback money somewhere else. And I don't think the Jets going to be able to give that to him. So I think it's going to be DJ Reed that walks. DJ Reed also, you look at, if you asked every NFL team if they would take DJ Reed as their number one corner,
Yeah.
probably I would say 60-70% would probably say yes. That's just how good he's been and how also good Sauce is to be like, you could put Sauce is the best cornerback in football. So in terms of
Yep.
DJ Reed, you put him on almost any other team, you can make the case he should be their number one. But the Jets, of course, with Sauce, he's your number one by far. But I think DJ Reed will walk. And I think they'll pay Michael Carter personally. Probably looking at high slot corner money, maybe like 11 to 13 million per year, which I think they could get done. I also think they'll keep Michael Carter because he's a little bit on the younger side,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also a draft pick, keeping a draft pick. Not that it has a ton to do with it, but I just think from a money perspective, I actually think DJ Reed might want more than what Michael Carter would want. And I think you can make the case that Michael Carter, from a slot perspective, in some areas might actually be better than DJ Reed. Like he's the best. I think Michael Carter is the best slot cornerback in football in my eyes. Statistically, he finished like you look at there was like 6 different statistical categories I looked at when I did one of my player preview episodes on him. It was like quarterback rating allowed, yards allowed. They were all first among slots. He was better than Kenny Moore, better than Teron Johnson. Like he is the best slot corner in football, I believe. And I think they'll pay him as such. I think they'll pay him and probably let DJ Reed walk personally, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
So dude, I don't know if you can see this, but if you look down to the right, is it a little blurry to you or no?
I could see it.
Okay. Do
Yep.
you do you I haven't seen this name anywhere else. Have you seen this guy, Marcus Riley?
The receiver.
Bottom corner, highlighted in orange, IR.
Yeah, I know he was. I believe he was actually out of. I remember him from.
Think
I
Louisiana.
remember him from my UDFA episode I did. I believe, yeah, Marcus. Right, yeah, he's been around a little bit. I think he played with. I think he played with. I forget this college that he came out of. I think he was out of Florida A&M this
Yeah,
year.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to recover my notes from that last episode. But yeah, I think he's Florida A&M. He was depth this year. Um,
It's just
yeah,
odd
there
that
he
we
is.
put him
He's a
on the
free
IR
agent.
and
Yeah,
he's
rookie. They put him. Um, they put what's his face? Malik Taylor's another one. Unfortunately, his season ended. But another rookie was a UDFA. I mean, I don't think he'll play much of a role this year. Um, he was
it's
kind
just
of I didn't see him a ton in camp either. Malik Taylor was a guy actually that I thought had a chance of making the roster if he didn't get hurt. But
yeah. I was looking at it and there's a lot of other places that I see they're usually pretty quick with switching in
yeah,
and out the depth charts, and he's still hanging around there. And I'm confused with whether or not he's actually on our team right now or not, or he's really on the IR spot or not.
yeah. If they placed him on IR before the season, before the cut down, and he's done for the year, like Taylor, so he's
Okay,
obviously not holding up a roster spot at that point.
yeah,
Um,
but
I
it's
mean, he
weird.
was.
Like, now you're gonna put him on there and nobody else can get him.
Oh, what the IR?
Yeah,
Yeah, just kind of just stick him on there.
that's
Doesn't hold
kind
up.
of to me that's just like anybody else you would just kind of throw on there and be like, okay, IR, he's hurt, let him go. But we're trying to hold on to him. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know he had some special teams value. I think he was used a little bit of a returner at Florida A&M, if I'm remembering some of my notes correctly, going back a couple months now.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, Tyler Harrell was another receiver that they had under the radar. Speed guy actually made a couple plays in camp. The couple days I was there, he made a couple nice plays.
who was
Um,
that?
Tyler Harrell, I don't know if he landed on the practice squad. Um,
Yeah, this should be down
I
there.
went over all 17 practice squad guys yesterday. I don't know if he landed on there. I don't think he did.
uh
He played at Louisville a little bit, played at
Brandon
Miami, kind
Smith,
of bounced around in his college career, but
Lance
was another
McCutcheon.
speed guy. Didn't do a whole lot in the preseason games though. I think he only had like one catch, I think, in the preseason, if I recall. Um,
Yeah, I don't see him on here.
yeah, it
I'm
was
glad we held on to Malik Taylor though. I know he's on IR, but
yeah, he's got some experience going back to his days in Green Bay, played a little bit with Rodgers there.
yeah,
Um, obviously he's done, so you wait till next year. But he was having a good camp. I thought he was actually early on in camp. Brownlee started slow, and Malik Taylor was playing really well. I thought Malik Taylor had the inside track because he had some chemistry there already with Rodgers, and he was also a little bit more experienced to maybe land as the sixth receiver. But of course, the injury stopped that from happening, unfortunately. So,
now
um,
I'm really shocked that Brownlee is gone.
yeah, I'm pretty surprised too. I think I'm not really. I guess I shouldn't say I'm too surprised. I'm just surprised the way it happened. I thought if they would cut him, they would just cut him right away, as opposed to bringing in Brendan Bates. I think personally, I would cut like a Izzy or somebody like that before I cut Brownlee personally to open up a roster spot, because
Yeah,
I don't love Irv Charles as a sixth receiver in my eyes. I think Brownlee has more upside as a receiver. Charles did some good things in camp, but I think Charles is more of just your gunner special teams guy. So then you're looking at if there's a receiver that goes down, knock on wood, it doesn't happen. If you're a receiver that goes down, you're kind of you're one injury away from scrambling a little bit at
yeah,
receiver. You need to help. You really need to hope that Mike Williams stays healthy this year. Garrett Wilson, of course, continues to stay healthy, and hopefully Gibson takes a pretty sizable year two jump. Um, because depth wise, you have some concerns. You really don't know what Corley is as a rookie, and you really don't know what Lazard is coming into year number 2 with the Jets, where he's more focused, had a much better camp. But, and I'm not saying Jason Brownlee was going to be the reason the Jets win the Super Bowl, but
yeah,
he at least I think provides more than what Charles would if he ever has to play a role there. But yeah, I mean, he's still out there. So I mean, maybe if the Jets could bring him back, maybe that was part of the reasoning, is they didn't feel he would clear the first wave of claims if they cut him on cut down day. Now
yeah,
that all the claims have went through, maybe they feel they can get him back at some point during the year. But I thought he was a little bit better than some Jets fans gave him credit for. I know he
uh,
had some drops in the preseason. He did have the touchdown, but I don't know. I would have liked to see him stick around a little bit longer. But look, it's Jason Brownlee. It's if he's the reason the Jets don't have success this year, then this team was never going anywhere in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, we have bigger problems, I
Yeah,
think.
definitely.
I wasn't expecting Brendan Bates, but I mean it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's a bad player, but obviously they're gonna. It was kind of odd that I only saw two tight ends on there, and I'm like, well, what are they waiting on? Like, what are
Yeah.
they? You know, I don't get it. So that's why I knew some sort of move was happening. I didn't think it was gonna be for tight end. I just knew that they weren't done making moves some way somehow, leaving it open for like even Lewis Seen, right? Like, or
Yeah.
I think that, like, dude, how many times are the Vikings gonna burn us with players that
I
don't
know.
that want to come
He's
here and then leave? Like,
he's like the Walmart Anthony Barr.
yeah, yeah, it really is though.
Yeah.
My buddy brought it up to me. He's like, remember Kirk Cousins used us for leverage
Mm-hmm.
beforehand,
And he
and
goes
then
to
went to the Vikings. And then it
yep,
was Anthony Barr, and he said it was like a marriage that wasn't going to go well, right? Or
yep,
wrong girl, and then this dude just
yeah.
jumped ship real quick, and I I don't know. I don't know.
Even even Antoine Winfield. This was a little bit before my time, but I've heard Jets fans throw his name around back in 2004, and it's funny. It's actually involving the Bills. He hit
Mm.
free agency, looked like he was going to go to the Jets, and ended up choosing Minnesota as well. So both ties too. Seen using going to the Bills here from Minnesota. Winfield was free agent from the Bills going to Minnesota. Looked like he was going to go sign with the Jets and ended up going to Minnesota. Anthony Barr, same thing. So yeah, something about Minnesota guys on defense specifically, and then Kirk Cousins as well on offense. Something about them using us and then going to the Vikings is something. But hey, it hasn't worked out for the Vikings because they still don't have a
It,
Super Bowl ring. So
yeah.
yeah,
Apparently, and they have Sam Darnold.
yeah, that is true. Yes, Sam Darnold.
And
Hopefully he'll be running.
McCown,
Yes, he'll be running for his life on in
and
the
their
London.
coach was our quarterback as well at one point.
Yep, O'Connell. Yep.
That is wild.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections there.
There really
Alvin
is.
Cook going from the Vikings to the Jets last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one.
Oh, you with the Dallas, right?
Now he's with Dallas. Yeah.
Um. All right. So with that being said, with all that stuff, we can't wait for Monday night. Okay, we
Mhm.
saw Ayuk. By the way, Ayuk got his deal, right? That
Yep.
4 years was 120, 120,
Are
76
you?
guaranteed or something.
Yeah, 120 over 4. Yep.
Okay.
I think, yeah, 76 guaranteed, I believe. Yes. I think you're right about that.
And my buddy had told me, he's a Niners fan. He's like, "Yo, look, Trent Williams is next," which I believe. I
Mhm.
really do believe it. You're not gonna. I highly doubt that you're gonna go into week one without the best left tackle in the league.
Yeah.
Like it's. But they always seem to get stuff done over there. So,
Yeah.
but I do want to. I have the list of draft picks from Joe Douglas, and I want to go over with you. Not to put you on spot or nothing like that, but even if we need to look some stuff up, maybe we'll look some stuff up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I have all the names when they were drafted,
Mhm.
and when the last place that I saw them were, and we can go over between you and I whether you think it was a bust or a hit. All right,
Yep.
or an in between. All right.
Yep.
Um. So let me get rid of this screen real quick. There we go. Looks a lot cleaner. Cool. All right. So first of all, so I took a class with Phil Savage from New York Jets,
Mhm. Yep.
and he was the one teaching the class for 4 days. It was 4 hours a night, or 5 days for 4 hours a night. It was all scouting. Okay,
Nice.
and I want you to have an idea, and I want everybody to have an idea of the stuff that was taught to me. All right. Like, and I'm not going to give this whole speech or anything, but I do want to they give the grading by rounds and versus projecting prospects. Okay. So, like, this is a day one starter. Okay. Is a top pick, a franchise player, a top 10 pick, a best player at the position, a top 16 pick, or perennial Pro Bowl player, or a top 20 pick, a possible Pro Bowl player. Okay, those are day one starters. Okay,
Mhm.
these are so top 20 is still like day one starters. You would expect that, right? And I think this
Yep.
is where people say not first rounders, but like when you get down to like fourth, fifth, sixth, everybody like, oh, it's a bust, it's a bust. But not really if you look at some of the stuff here. So it's like top 25, top 32, top 32. So it's like a quality player will start during rookie season at some point. Okay. These are eventual starters. So top 25 to top 32 picks. So even halfway down, they're saying that he'll eventually start, but he's not going to start right away. So like even where do we get AVT? The top 16? He was 16th, right? Something like
AVT,
that.
yeah, I think it was 14. Yeah, I think it was 14.
14. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it says Pro Bowler. Like that's
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 it.
pretty accurate, I think.
Yeah.
Like so but let's go down to people like so potential starter top half of the second round, dependable player and coaching can help. So this is what this is what this says. Okay. Bottom
Mhm.
half of the second round, a dependable player minus HWS. I'm trying to find out what that is. There's so much there's so much on this thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
this
have to show
sounds
it to you one day.
crazy.
But
Yeah.
fourth rounder, the third rounder is dependable player, coaching cannot help. This is a third rounder. Okay? Dependable player and coaching cannot help. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's your third rounder.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of people from the third round. People are like, nah, he's a bust, he's a bust, he's a bust.
Yeah.
They're saying the coaching can't help on this. Like that's what they're
Yeah.
looking at when they're going into the draft.
Yeah.
Fourth rounder is a clean developmental project second tier player. Okay. And anything down from that point on, 5, 6, 7 is a backup. 2 or more missing trades, adequate performer at best. Okay.
Interesting.
This is
Yeah.
like when
That's
I
a
looked at
late
this,
day start, yeah.
I was like, this changes the entire game of how I'm looking at people because some
Yeah.
people are going to be drafting these people in the fifth round. And if they're like, oh, he's a backup, but he's not a starter, and some people label him as a bust, it's like, no, he's actually exactly where he's supposed to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is crazy.
Make a good
But,
point.
dude, I'm going to have to try and see if you might actually really love that class. Like,
The one you went to, it's Savage.
yeah, dude. I
Mhm.
mean, like, Connie Carberg was in there too. You know what I mean? She's
Oh,
been
yeah.
doing it every
Yeah.
year, and it's
Been doing
just
that forever, yeah.
yeah. The GM of the Chargers was our guest speaker for a night, and
That's pretty cool.
Pro Football Focus, the guy who owns it, he was in there too. They actually edited the entire website for us, dude, so that we can type in what we want and
Oh, really?
showcase our picks. It was pretty cool.
That's cool.
All right, so you want to start with Douglas came 2019? But
Yes.
his first draft was 2020,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they did that backwards.
Yeah. Well, we do everything backwards.
Yeah. That's why. Yeah, it's they tried to build the house from the roof down.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what I love about you is that you have some of the coolest takes, like old school takes. Like your parents are old school people, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Like it seems like they would say something like don't put the carriage before the horse.
Yeah, don't put the carriage before the horse, yeah. That one was actually coming into my head before I put the roof down, yeah. I was about to say that one.
No, because you're well spoken. Like, dude, you're gonna go places, and I know it's like it's always because of upbringing, dude. Like your parents did an amazing job raising you, dude.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so let's start draft one. All right,
Yep.
Pick one, Mekhi Becton. Okay, I think we can all agree. It's up to you, but I mean, bust. He was a bust.
Yeah,
He
bust.
didn't. Yeah, the last place I saw him was Philly, and he's still throwing up, and they're moving him to right guard, left guard.
Yep. Okay. No more tackle for him.
No, yeah, he said, but he's a left tackle, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's a bust. So we'll mark that. All right, Denzel Mims.
I'd say bust.
I'd say a bust as well. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw him, he just got released, didn't he? From Pittsburgh?
Yeah, he's been everywhere now. He hasn't even, I don't even think he's had a chance anywhere else. I mean, I know he's been with some other teams, but like they've all cut him. They've barely given an opportunity.
Yeah, no, he went to the
Pittsburgh,
Lions. The
Jacksonville,
Lions let him go.
Detroit. Yeah, he's been
Yeah.
everywhere. He's crossing every team off his list.
All
Every
right.
team's
So,
crossing him off their list.
oh yeah, dude, he just got cut. What, like during the 53-man cut roster, right?
Yeah. Yep, just a couple days ago.
Um, that was second round. So two third rounders. Ashton Davis.
For the longest time, I'd say bust. I've always said this. If I was general manager of the New York Jets, Ashton Davis would have been out of here about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was terrible early on. I never understood why they hung on to him, but he's turned it around. Last year was very, very good. Was kind of a ball magnet. Wherever the ball was, he was. Had a couple interceptions. His forced a couple fumbles with that peanut punch that he has. So really, really good year for him. Got him a second contract. So he's been a good pickup. For a while, I would say bust, but for a third round addition, he's a nice piece at safety, and he provides some special teams value. It was one of the only draft class.
Okay. Let's look at it over the cap. I want to see how much he's making real quick. All right.
Yeah, it was a small. I think was it a 2 year? It might have been just a one. I think it was just a 1 year extension because I think he hits the open market next year again.
I will share this with you, sir. That way we can all be on the same page.
Yep.
You could read that, right?
Yeah. Yep, I got it.
For some reason, I think it's coming in blurry, but okay. Where is he? Chuck Clark, Ashton Davis. There we go. Right here. All right. Was it the cap number?
Looks like 1.29.
Yep. So, dude, for a third round pick and third round pick saying that coaching cannot help. Okay.
Yep.
It says potential starter. As of now, Tony Adams is a starter, right? Or is it Ashton Davis?
Yeah, they got Tony Adams and Chuck Clark there.
Okay.
He's the third.
I think this is. I'm not going to label this as a bust.
Yeah, I think he's been done well. I think it's actually been a solid pick for Douglas. I mean, any draft pick that gets a second contract, I think you've got to be pretty content with, in my eyes.
Unless you have a bad GM, right?
Deal.
Yeah.
What was that?
Unless you have a bad GM.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's go. Another third round pick, Jabari Zuniga.
That was a disaster.
Yeah, it was. And last I saw him, he was on the Saints. I don't know if he's still there.
Yeah, him and back-to-back years, they took Josiah Polite in 2019. He didn't even make it to the 53. And in the next year, they took another edge rusher, and Jabari Zuniga, he was a disaster. He didn't.
Oh, that was Mike McCagnon.
Yeah, McCagnon was Polite. That was a mess. There was so many red flags with him coming out of college. Out of Florida, they still took him, and then a year later, they're like, "Oh, let's take a chance on another Florida edge
Dude,
rusher."
he loved drafting hurt players and people with character flaws.
McCagnon's drafting was pathetic.
It was, and the weird thing is, he would actually pay for like I don't know if you knew this or if you paid attention to it, but like right when he got fired, on paper, we had a defense that was absolutely like thriving. Like it didn't look it, right? But we had Leonard Williams.
Yeah.
I forget who else we had on the line. I think that's right when we got we still had Quinnen Williams. That's right when we got Quinnen, right?
Yeah, 2019, yeah, rookie year.
Okay.
Quinnen. You had Fadakasi,
Mosley, and Jamal Adams.
Yeah, and May too.
And May. That's on paper at that time. And then as soon as Douglas came in, he's like, "Yeah, we got to do something about this." He just like rolled up his sleeves and he just demolished that thing. And I was like, "Oh, there's that."
Yeah, tore it down. But
you have to.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, it was, and Jamal Adams was such a phony. That guy was acted like he was such a leader, and he was a train wreck in the locker room.
Yeah, he was. He got his bag, and then all of a sudden he got hurt right after he got his bag. And then what? He just finally signed to Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee. They're known for signing all the washed players.
Well, see
Jamon
if they
obviously
can
don't play
keep
well.
up.
Yep.
All right, so we'll put him as a bust, right, Zuniga?
100%.
Okay. The Michael P. Ryan, he just got
Yeah,
cut.
yeah, bust. Back-to-back Florida picks. I believe P. Ryan was from Florida too. I think he spent some time with the Chiefs recently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I got him marked down as the last time.
yeah.
Um, and look,
This draft class is brutal.
no, it is, but this is also something that, like, not for nothing, dude. This is also something that Joe Douglas had to do. He
hmm
had to draft people starting from the bottom to replace people he was about to let go, right?
hmm
And he had to make this his own with what he had and with the draft picks that he had. Now, I know people think that he does too much by doing like whatever he did the other day, making a trade with the Bills for Codrington
Yeah,
and
swap little
uh,
picks.
like flipping that. But remember, he flipped another one with JFM too, right? These
Yeah.
are the picks. Like what you're doing is you're taking like I don't know exactly what it was, but you're taking a 7 and making it a 6. Then you're taking
hmm
a 6 and you're making it a 5. This is how he moves up in the draft. This is how
Yeah.
he makes the moves that he does in the future. So I know they seem meaningless and they seem like he's trying to do too much, but I personally think in the future, this actually helps us to move up and get those guys like that we really want just because we have
Yeah.
that extra 4th round pick or extra 5th round pick.
Yeah. He was even doing that too this year on draft with he was trading away. It's day 3, I think it was. He was dealing all those picks.
Yeah.
With it made like 4 trades or whatever. It was like I never thought they were ever going to draft again.
That
Uh,
was that was
I
weird
was
for me too
popping
because
up.
I'm
Yeah.
sitting there like you had nobody higher than what you were ready to draft after that. Like you traded
Yeah.
down 3 times.
Yeah. He was pretty active, but he was trying to build up pieces, try and trade uh assets for next year, maybe even 2 if they make a run at Devontae Adams. You might get one of those picks that comes in handy. So
You
I
think he
think
was trying to save some money too? Like because the farther down the draft board you go, the less you pay.
yeah, it could have been. Or they just didn't love who was there at wherever they were at, and they just kept moving back. But
Yeah,
I mean, I would
everybody's
like to
draft
see
board is
them.
different.
Yeah, no, 100%. I would like to see them maybe take another offensive lineman or even take Brandon Rice, who I was surprised how far he fell, but can't complain.
Yeah.
hmm
All right, let's go down to James Morgan. We can label him as a bust.
Yeah,
I
he didn't even.
look. We knew that he wasn't good. He was just going to be a backup anyway, but he didn't even make it throughout the.
Yeah,
So,
it was
um,
short. The James Morgan era was short lived.
it was. Here's a very interesting one. Cameron Clark.
Yeah, unfortunate. He had the awful neck injury.
Yep, that
Who
was a
knows?
great find.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what he would have turned into if he didn't have the injury. Unfortunately, um, that's a tough one to gauge because he only played. I don't. He never played. Unfortunately, so it's been cool
Yeah,
to see what he's turned his career into though. Now he's does offensive line coaching. Um, just glad to see that he's okay now. But
yeah. They were ready
kind
to
of
put him
tough.
in the starting lineup the following year.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and I was excited because I was like, "Yo, this dude's really tearing shit up over in camp."
Mhm.
Like this is pretty good. I don't know whether to label that like a bust because of injury or you know what I mean, like
Yeah. It's just
because
I
it
don't
is a
know.
freak accident. You know what I
Yeah, it's
mean?
just freak acts, just unfortunate. Kind of unknown. You really will never know what he could have.
Yeah, I'll put a question mark next to that one.
Yeah.
All right. Um, Bryce Hall.
I mean, for the first part of for the rebuild, I thought early on in his career he showed some decent things, but once they took Sauce as a depth guy, he was kind of a weakness, and the just his play time obviously dropped when
Yeah,
Michael Carter got better. Of course, they brought in DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner. Playtime just completely dropped. His 2021 season was all right. I mean, I think he had 16 passes defended that year. He was put up some nice numbers.
he was the main guy.
Yeah,
Like
first part of his career, I thought he did some good things. The back half, not really his fault, more so just Sauce Gardner is light years better than a lot of guys. So
yeah,
I guess he can't blame him
it's
too much. But
looking at it, and this is me personally, I put Bryce Hall because it's a fifth round pick. Okay,
Yeah,
if I'm looking at what I'm looking at right here, okay, fifth round long term backup can upgrade depth chart to the 45 man.
yeah,
I think he exceeded that.
yeah. And he was too a guy that had that bad injury at Virginia. He was borderline a first round talent before he had the awful, I think it was an ankle injury.
Yeah,
That was really, really bad at Virginia. So Douglas also kind of took a risk on him later in the round, trying to see if he could bounce back from that injury and potentially turn into that day one, early day two talent that they thought he might be prior to his injury. So
yeah.
I don't think it wasn't Douglas's worst pick. He's had far worse. So
No,
definitely.
I mean, especially in the fifth round, and he ended up doing whatever he had to do.
Mhm.
Me personally, I won't claim that as a bust because he was drafted in the fifth,
Yeah.
and he was the only guy, on a defense, not a defense, a team trying to grow. Like you said, he had 16 pass defenses in 1 year because people were trying him. Now, was he
Yeah.
getting beat at times? Yeah, he was, but he,
Yeah.
he was a starter too. Like
Mm. Also
I'm
young and had some growing pains, so it happens.
I personally, I will put that as a plus. I won't put him as a bust because it's like, of course, you're going to get beat out by Sauce Gardner when he makes it, but a fifth round pick as the starter and actually putting in work to make sure that he stays there until a first rounder takes his job. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's just.
No, yeah, I agree. I think for fifth round, he's like I said, Douglas has had much worse, and he was kind of that placeholder for 2 years before
Mhm.
they could get their hands on a legitimate elite talent in Sauce.
Yeah. And then the last draft pick of 2020, Braden Mann.
Bust.
Yes, absolutely it was. So we'll
Terrible.
take what? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. 2 out of 9 that were solid with a question mark. So 2 or 3 out of 9. I'll put 2 with the question mark on one.
Yep.
Okay, that's with Cameron Clark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to move right into 2021?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Zach Wilson. I think we all
Yeah.
understand that was a bust.
Yep. 100%.
Elijah Vera Tucker.
I think he's been good. I mean, unfortunately, he's been hurt, but
Mm-hmm.
when he's been out there, he's played at times at an all pro level, statistically. And I thought his rookie year was pretty solid. It's crazy that was the last time he played a full season.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, both injuries have occurred in Denver. Luckily, they don't play in Denver, so whatever bad juju is there is not going to be there this year if
Yeah.
they get him at home. But if ABT could stay healthy, this is a guy that I think could be an all pro level guard. That's the flashes he's shown. I mean, this was a guy that played guard and then got moved to tackle and was playing at a Pro Bowl level at tackle. I mean, he was one of the only bright spots prior to injury last year for the Jets. So his versatility's been a good and a bad thing for him. I think maybe it's been some of the injuries, although some of the injuries have kind of just been freak. But
Yeah.
I think he has potential to be an all pro guard. When healthy, he's going to be a big piece of this unit up front.
And they're saying that they're picking up his fifth year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, if that doesn't give you some, when he is in there, he's throwing people around. He's playing through the whistle, which I love. That's the animal that you want in an offensive lineman.
Yeah. 100%. He's been good.
All right,
And
so I'm put a
another
plus
piece that
next to
they
it.
got back in that Jamal Adams deal, which was one of the
Yeah,
big fleeces in history.
that 2 first, 2 third, and a player.
Yep.
Like,
Can't go
yeah,
wrong with that.
no, you
And it
can't.
blew up in Seattle's face. Wasn't like
It
it was a
really
win-win.
did. They had to pay a lot of money too.
Yep.
Um, Elijah Moore
Bust.
bust.
It wasn't even so much his play, it was just his attitude. Requesting a trade during a win streak was completely ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
because you're
mean,
not getting the ball.
yeah, and then Garrett Wilson came in and was just so much better than him in 2022. There was no debate.
Yeah.
So he was a little bit of he was just a diva,
So,
unfortunately.
and this is the thing. It's not like so Elijah Moore, right? I like that Joe Douglas is very patient, right? He'll give you the opportunity, or he he's not just gonna because you want something. He's not just gonna ship you off. He's gonna let you know that the business comes first. You don't come first. You're part of the organization, and this organization comes first. Now they traded a pick second round pick and they sent back a third, right? Like is it something like that?
Yeah, for Elijah Moore, I think it was something like that. Yeah.
Now it's still a bust, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just like this is what you look for in a second rounder. Second rounder should be delivering here. And
Yep.
now we've whiffed at
Which is
two
weird.
second round wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mims
Yep.
and him. So um go so we didn't have a third round that year. Michael Carter.
Um, it's interesting with Michael Carter because it feels similar to Bryce Hall a little bit, right? Goes
Mm-hmm.
2021, I thought he was pretty good. And then Douglas goes out and takes Brees Hall, who just took over. Unfortunately, the torn ACL, of course, in his rookie year slowed him down.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a bust because like somebody else just came in and was better than him. I mean, I guess if you want to call it a bust because they obviously didn't see him as the future, but the Jets have been known for drafting running backs now recently, even last year taking Izzy Abanaconda, and in this year
Every year,
taking
dude.
two more running backs. Yeah, so and Douglas has openly said he wants to kind of turn it into like a running back factory where they could just Brees and another guy behind him and have that guy in Braylon Allen's that thumper. And then maybe down the road, if Brees does end up going, does end up not, with the way the running back market is these days, what
Mm-hmm.
the future of Brees is, who knows? But then you have a guy like Braylon Allen who can step up. So he loves his running backs. I mean, it wasn't the worst pick he made. I don't know if I would say it was a bust
I
because it
mean,
wasn't
it's
like
so.
he was good in 2021, but then his role just I will say he was not good when Brees went down. That is one thing. As your number two running back, he should have been a lot better when Brees went down. He wasn't. They had to go out and they had Bam Knight play a little bit, then they had to get James Robinson. If he was as good as like for a guy that got drafted a year prior, he should have been able to step up in Brees' absence, and he wasn't. It seemed like he was a little banged up himself, but
It seemed like the first year that he had it, he had this explosiveness and he
yeah,
could get around the corners, right?
then
That's
he
what it seemed
dropped
like.
off.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it looked like. So if I'm looking at this the way that this booklet says, right, fourth rounder is clean developmental project in second tier. So he's a developmental project. That you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's kind of it might work out, it might not. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's in your first and second round picks. That's why. But even though you have people like Le'Veon Bell that made it into the third round, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
that system, the Steelers' system was great. They always had an O line.
Yeah. That was the
So
harsh reality with the Jets.
yeah,
They brought in Le'Veon Bell and thought that would help the O line and made it worse because of
so
his
what? So
probing in the backfield.
what do you want to say with Michael Carter? He's still in
Um,
Arizona. I know it's not like
yeah,
he's on a team.
out of the league. What is like average? Is that an option?
Sure, we could make it one.
Yeah.
Average.
Bust or good. He's probably leaning more. He's more towards a bust than he is good.
Yeah, he
Below
just didn't
average,
make it on
maybe.
our team.
Yeah. He'll carve out a role as a number two. Or I don't even know. He might not even be in Arizona anymore, actually. Now that I think about it. They might have released him.
Because they got Trey Benson over there now.
Yeah. I just realized that. I don't even think he's on their 53.
No, maybe.
All right, bust then.
No,
If he's not on a team, bust.
that's fine. That's fine. This is why we're here. You know what I mean? We're
Yep.
not trying to make excuses. We're trying to be truthful here. So,
Yep.
um, Jamie and Sherwood.
I think it's worked out well, especially because he came in as a safety and they've transformed him into a linebacker. He's turned into a nice depth third linebacker, especially
Fifth rounder,
considering it was, a fifth round selection, which I
long
think
term backup.
yeah, exactly. So under that, I think he's lived up to that billing. And again, too, it's a guy that had a lot of growing pains early on because he was transitioning positions, but credit to the coaching staff, they've turned him into a nice depth piece that I think can step in if
And
at moments and provides a little bit of special teams value as well.
and he's only getting paid 1.1.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's your depth behind Mosley and Williams.
Yep.
So Quincy. So this
Mhm.
is the thing. That's a fifth rounder. These next two are also fifth rounders. All right. Michael Carter, which we all that slam dunk, right?
Yeah, it's been
Like,
one of, I think that's been value wise, it's been one of his best draft picks
yep.
by far.
Now, I don't want to say this like this is up to you. Jason Pinnock.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think so much the player, more so the Jets handling of Pinnock.
Yeah,
I don't um
because he's starting over at the Giants. I still
yeah,
believe
exactly. I don't know why the Jets
that was
ever
the year
moved
that we
on.
had so many actual like good players at camp, and how many of them got picked up by people.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I don't know why they ever really moved on from Pinnock. It never really made sense to me. He could play a little bit. He could play safety, could play corner, was athletic, pretty good at coverage. And yeah, now he's starting with the Giants. I would have I would have hung on to Pinnock personally, but they also saw Tony Adams that year. They valued him a little bit more as a UDFA. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think it wasn't a bad draft pick. It wasn't him. It was just Douglas mishandling it. It seems a little bit where they
And and
probably should
and
have
the
moved on.
yeah, and the fact that he's a fifth rounder too, and he is a
Mhm.
starter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's something that says like we may have mishandled it, but the player itself for him to get picked and nobody else picked him up.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like in the draft until the fifth round until we got him. That means that nobody else had him on the board either.
Yeah.
You know, so we saw something. I don't necessarily think that he was a bust according to what we did to him because he showed up and shelled out.
Mm-hmm.
You
No,
know,
yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I agree. He played well in 2021, did some good things. His rookie year was good in camp. Letting him go, not on the player, just feels like on the GM more so there.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna put a plus next to his name.
Yep.
Okay, that's just me, but uh, I can never say this guy's name right. Hamza Nasruddin.
I'd say a bust.
Yeah, they've been waiting for this dude to make his way and gradually become who they wanted him to be for so long. You know what I mean? And it was just like you keep saying Salah. I don't know why he kept. Yeah, we're turning him into this into that. It's like yeah, but it's not happening.
He was another one, safety turned to linebacker that didn't work out. They kind
Yeah,
of tried it with both of them, Sherwood and Nasruddin, and Nasruddin wasn't good. Sherwood worked out, but I don't
yeah.
even think Nasruddin has a job right now.
I don't think so either. Brandon Eccles.
I think it's been good. It's been
I
nice.
think it's been good as well.
Yep, made the roster again as a depth guy.
Let's
He
see what
hey,
he's
he dominates Tua. 2 pick sixes against Tua in his career, so that's all you can ask for.
1.0, almost 1.1 million, just under. That's what
Yep.
he's getting paid.
Yeah.
That
He's
that's
been
a,
solid.
I think that's a win right there.
And two with Eccles is we talked about earlier with Stiggers and DJ Reed. If Reed goes, Stiggers and Eccles probably would be the main two competing for that job next year.
Yeah,
Maybe even JBC as well, who put together a good camp this year. So maybe
I'm
Eccles is a
glad he
guy that
took that
turns into a
step up.
starter down the road.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad he took that step up though.
Stiggers
Uh,
or
JBC.
oh JBC, yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah.
JBC was very good. Last year was kind of lost with him. He got hurt. Very versatile, transferred from safety to corner,
Mm-hmm.
good in coverage, very athletic at LSU. I liked him coming out of college. He was a nice, I guess if you want to say late round dart throw, if that's the way to put it. I think he was a
Yeah.
6th round pick. I'm sure we'll get to it, but not a bad late round pick to try and bring in and develop.
What is it?
He had a very,
Six says,
very strong camp.
and the weird thing is it says sixth round pick, short term backup.
Interesting.
So you might not even
Maybe,
make the 53 man.
yeah. They might be getting, they're getting really good value for that pick down the road.
Yeah, I bet. Like
Mhm.
if you like, this is the thing. I don't think people understand it. If Douglas, oh, why'd you get rid of the like people want to understand why we get rid of people that we did, right? Like even JFM. All right, look, there's a lot of stuff. I understand that he was a good asset on a defensive line. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm not saying he was a bad player. We
Yep.
picked him up, get paid him, but I understand that it's that swap thing again. But we're saving some money on top of creating a draft pick that's going over and up one. You know what I mean? I know that
Yeah.
sounds petty, but at the same time, we create defensive players. We don't have to
Yep.
worry about replacing him because we do so well at that. It's not a question of, well, who's going to do it? They'll find somebody. They always have. In the past 5 years, they've found people for this defense to thrive.
Yeah.
And each year, I don't know if you know this, but I think it's each year we've beaten one of the teams from the Super Bowl with our defense. We've beaten the Bengals. We've beaten the Eagles. We've, dude, we've
You should have beat
beaten.
the Chiefs.
Yeah, we should. Ooh,
That
that was one game that Zach Wilson actually played good in.
Yeah. You know, there'll be randomly on a day where I'll just think about that game and I'll get so frustrated. That stupid Michael Carter call is the most ridiculous thing ever. They see the ball go into his hands and then the refs throws the flag. That game was, I don't usually blame the game on the refs, but that was the most rigged thing ever with the whole Taylor Swift nonsense. That was so rigged. And then, don't even get me started. That was
I
out of
found out.
everything that went wrong last year. That was one of the most frustrating games because we knew we were never getting that game again out of Zach. And the fact that they should have won it. And then he fumbled the snap and
You know what was great about that game too was Zach. This is where I thought Zach was going to turn it around after this game, or
yeah,
right with this game, because he would get the ball and he would know exactly where he was going to throw it, and he released it quickly. And I was like, yes, that's what we want.
yeah,
Get rid of the ball. Don't hang on to it.
no, yeah.
And
He
then
was
that was
great.
gone.
Lazard had a touchdown. I mean, I didn't see that ever last year.
Nope.
He ended up getting benched. They wouldn't have made the playoffs. I mean, they probably win 8 games, but I don't. That would have been so nice. Like you lose Rodgers, you have the ugly loss against New England. That would have just really revived things a little bit if they beat the Chiefs. It would have instilled a lot of confidence, I think. But here we are.
Do you know? You know what's weird? I said that Kansas City and San Francisco were going to make the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying in the beginning of the season, but when it started to get down to like the last couple teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, okay, they're playing in where? Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
How do you play craps? Or not, I'm sorry, how do you play roulette? Black and red.
Yeah.
Colors the stadium. All black.
Black, yeah.
Both teams were what?
Red.
And all of the did you see this conspiracy theory about all the numbers that lead to 13?
Oh, really? I don't think I've seen that, but it's probably the script writers doing something.
I did some math on my own that nobody caught on to, and it was like the even with the Jets Hard Knocks, remember when Mecole said that the 49ers
Oh, yeah, would win. We beat them, yeah, in the Super Bowl.
Okay, yeah. He did.
And
he did beat him.
That was
he alone.
Too. Everything comes back to the Jets. The game
dude.
The Super Bowl comes back to a guy that was leaking game plans.
Oh yeah. And you heard about that that whole ordeal about you've heard of Pivot, right? Pivot podcast?
Yeah.
And you heard the one with Sauce and Mecole? Like I was like, that's crazy. But
yeah.
We don't need that kind of stuff in the locker room. That's the thing.
No. This year's different.
Yeah. So last one of 2021 was Jonathan Marshall. I believe he's an offensive lineman.
I think he might have been defensive. I remember he was out of Arkansas.
Linebacker?
Was line, yeah.
Linebacker. Okay. Last time we checked, I wrote my notes down. Pittsburgh practice squad. So I would say bust on our end. So
yeah, I would say so.
Okay. We'll go right into 2022.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's just run down this list real quick because I think
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, and Breece Hall.
Yep. Historic.
Like, and I get it. We still need to pay these guys, okay? But you can see the progression each year in Jermaine Johnson. Garrett Wilson and Sauce have been lights out since they've gotten here.
Yep.
Brees Hall as well. So it's like I don't think we need to question those. And I believe if anybody has to question that, find a different team to look at.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I
I think
mean,
that's fair enough.
this draft class is, if it wasn't for this draft class, you can make a case Joe Douglas doesn't have a job right now.
Yeah.
That's how much this draft class saved him. Sauce is the number one tight end. Garrett Wilson's top 10 receiver, potentially top 15 receiver realistically, but top 5 with an actual quarterback. I think he has potential to go for 1,400, 1,500 yards this year.
Yeah.
Jermaine Johnson's a Pro Bowler at edge. Maybe gets over his 10 sacks this year. And Brees Hall, I mean, he was second among all running backs in all-purpose yards last year with the worst offensive line. No quarterback, and an offensive coordinator that didn't know he was a threat in the passing game until that Giant game.
Yeah, we're gonna find out how to do this. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like, oh, yeah, halfway through the year, now I know that our running back can actually catch passes. So they've been historic. I mean, offensive, defensive rookie of the year, you got 2 All-Pros in Sauce, only cornerback to do that since the NFL merger in 1970. So it's loaded, those 4 guys. Big reason why Rodgers is here, because they've kind of turned the outlook on this organization around.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you hear what he said about Brees Hall too? I guess they were trying a new play, and when they were trying a new play, immediately he said Brees Hall. He checked out of something, and Brees Hall when called out the right tackle, so the right tackle knew where to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, he's smart. He's smarter than people give him credit for. He's like, I didn't expect him to know exactly where the right tackle was supposed to go after that checkout.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's gonna get the ball a ton this year. His numbers are gonna be crazy.
Yep.
If he stays healthy and the offensive line stays healthy and that stuff happens, I mean, he's probably gonna go off for maybe 1,500 rushing yards and 500, 600 receiving yards. You're gonna be looking at 2,100 all-purpose yards potentially from him this year. His numbers are gonna be just freakishly good. They're going to be like, it's going to be one of these seasons that you look back on and you're just like, oh my God,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. This one could be a question mark so far. Third rounder, Jeremy Ruckert.
Yeah, I would say so. First year red-shirted, last year didn't really do a whole lot. Not all of his fault. Bad quarterback play. Was good as a blocker, but not very good from a pass catching standpoint. Didn't really get many reps. So I would say Ruckert, is a question mark up to this point, but he had a very good camp. I thought he looked pretty good. Hopefully, maybe if they can't re-sign Conklin at the end of next year, he could be your tight end in the future, but big year for Ruckert. He needs to show a lot more than he has. So
he needs to stay healthy too.
Yeah, definitely.
But I also think like they rely on him to do a lot of the dirty work. The dirty blocking, the put your face in the dirt and go. They kind of rely on him to do that.
Yeah, very good as a pass blocker and a run blocker. At times last year, how bad the Jets' offensive line was, he was their best blocker.
Yeah,
he wasn't even he wasn't an offensive lineman. Very good from in the trenches standpoint. He's very, very strong, like you said. But pass catching, route running, you need to see that this year take a jump for sure.
Yeah. Fourth round, Max Mitchell.
I think he's been solid. He's a depth piece. Showed last year he wasn't great at guard, but showed that he could have some guard tackle versatility. He's depth. Fourth round. I don't think he's been. I think it's good depth piece to have. You can never have enough tackle depth in my eyes, especially with, unfortunately, how things have panned out for the Jets.
Yeah, it says fourth round, clean but developmental project, second tier. So, I personally right where he's supposed to be. People expect him to be a starter right now, and it's just like, well, he's developmental and he's second tier, which means he's chilling there. He's not gonna outbeat these guys because he's a fourth round pickup. Yeah. If he becomes that, then it's just like, oh wow, we got something out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think he's right where he's supposed to be. I don't think he's a bust.
Yeah, I agree.
Rucker, I'll put a question mark next to, like
Yes,
a
Rucker. Yeah, I'd say so.
prove it deal kind of.
Yeah, this year
Um,
for him.
Michael Clemens.
I don't want to jump to conclusions, but if I'm being honest, he's been a bust.
Yeah, you think? Okay.
I
Um, what was
first
this?
year I thought he did some good things. Last year put on size, slowed down, and was terrible.
So this is his
And
third
this
year
year in
coming
the
in.
preseason and training camp hasn't looked good. Yeah,
Okay.
year number 3. I mean, I guess if I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, he's had one good year and one bad year.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see what happens this year. But I mean, he's like, to me, I know I talked about this in the open with the 3 UDFAs, and like to me, Tack McKinley's look better than him. Brady McGregor's look better than him. Leonard Taylor, all of the guys. I mean, Clemens looked, he didn't do anything in training camp and preseason as well. And that's the kind of the worrisome part. He was getting pushed around by backups. So up to this point, he's trending towards bust trajectory. But the coaching staff loves him, and Saleh took the blame for last year, saying they shouldn't have had him put on weight and all that stuff. So,
Do you want me to? Do you want
still,
to put that arrow down like the stocks? Like
yeah, I
just.
guess so. Yeah, trending downwards. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
I'll put a question mark with a downward spiral. How
yeah,
about that?
yeah.
And we can
Trending
always
down.
revisit this. You know what I mean? Like
Definitely.
because it's not obviously I'll have it back on again.
Yeah,
And that was the end of 2022. We'll jump into 2023, and this might be a little harder because you're only giving somebody 1 year to do what they had to do already. All right,
yeah,
so a lot of these are probably going to be question marks. Will McDonald,
yeah. I'd say question mark.
yeah, Joe
Didn't,
Tippmann,
yeah. I would say question mark. I thought he had a pretty strong year last year, but I'd still say question mark. Don't want to jump to conclusions just yet.
okay, Carter Warren,
Yeah, question mark. I think he only played 8 games last year. I would say question mark. I mean, I mean, depth wise, I guess I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get a definitive answer on Carter Warren this year either, because I think potentially he's like, after this year, if Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses both go, you're looking at a left tackle, right tackle next year of Olu and then Carter Warren. So you
yeah.
probably get you. So yeah, question mark. Then I'm kind of just explaining more of that because
No, you're good. I get it though
developmental.
because it's people want to see him make that next jump and like, oh, is
Yeah,
he ready to start? It's like we bought these other guys because they're
yeah,
better than him. They were
yeah.
drafted a lot higher, and we're trying
Mm.
to upgrade it. So, like, and I get it though. But I mean, Carter Warren was a 4th round pick again, another 4th round clean developmental project, second tier
Yep.
player. You know, like that's backup. Um,
Could play into a starter role next year. So
yeah, and if he does, it's a solid plus. That's a solid
yeah,
like, yo, if you're a starter and you're a 4th round pick, obviously you're doing something right.
yeah, it's a good hit.
Israel, Betakanda. I think we need
I would
a.
say trending down.
I think so too. But I also okay. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I also think that he's outshined in that running back room. Like you have a dude that's 245 pounds in
Oh
there,
yeah, and
Bubbs.
Braylon Allen. Yeah,
Bro,
he's a
is
monster.
that is so unfair to
Yeah,
linebackers. Okay, like
he's nuts. He just runs through people. It's crazy.
I can't wait to see him on the goal line. I don't even care if Brees Hall doesn't get the touchdowns. I just want like just get in there. I don't
Yeah,
care.
he's
Like that's
great third down back for us.
yeah. Oh, it's 3rd and 1.
Yeah,
Okay, like he's gonna look at him like, yeah, I can do that. That's fine. It's easy.
yeah. And the nice
Um,
thing too about Allen is he's shown the ability to show some speed to the outside. Uh, there's been a
yeah,
couple runs that he's broken out where he's gone to the second level and showed off some speed. So he can lower his shoulder and get those grimy 2-3 yards, but he can also kind of bounce outside and pick up 8 to 9 with a little bit of burst. So he's a stud. He's a
the
stud.
fact that he keeps going and it's just
Yeah,
like
he just
dragging people with him, I'm
yeah,
just like, yes, that's what we wanted,
yeah, you need
like
that
the whole
physical
time.
style.
Yeah.
Yep. New
Um,
identity for the offense.
I'll tell you what, man. Even if they stack the box, I think we're still getting 3-4 yards out of it.
Yeah, with him definitely. And a good push by the offense line, I think. I think
Yeah.
so.
Uh, Zaire Barnes.
I think he's been actually pretty good. I guess you could still put question mark, but I thought, last year only appeared in 4 games, I believe, but I would say trending up. Came in this year, thought he had a pretty solid, actually pretty nice camp this year. I would say trending upwards as a fourth linebacker. A sixth-round pick. For a sixth-round pick, I don't think it's bad for Douglas so far.
No, it's a short-term backup. Maybe makes the 53-man roster.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It's his second year in. Obviously, we still like him. So,
yeah.
JBC.
I would say trending up.
Yeah, same thing. 6th-round pick.
Yep.
And then Zach Kuntz.
Oof. I don't know. Is it too early to call him a bust?
If you want to call him, but we could throw him in there right now. That's fine. That's okay.
He was running the wrong routes last year in camp. Played 1 game. Appeared in 1 game. This year was not very good again, and now he got cut. So I'd say trending towards bust.
We got cut last year. Nobody picked him up, but we still put him on the practice squad.
Yeah. So
that's okay. So we'll leave 2023, and then I would like to do this more so like every other year. We don't have to go through all of them, but I guess we can go through wherever I put question marks. So we can start with like the 2022 people like next year. And I can go over Jeremy Ruckert to see how we did, and Michael Clemens to see how we did this year. That's the 3-year, and we could probably label it off of 3 years, whether or not they're a bust or not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And we can keep doing that each year. And then, like, we don't need to go through this year's because it's impossible to find out, what they're going to do.
Yeah, definitely.
But this thing is pretty cool. It gives you the point system too of how many points they get.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's dude. You would really like this.
That's pretty.
And
cool.
It also has it tells you what to look for: wide receivers, cornerbacks, with their height, their weight, all this stuff, dude. And I think like the one right here is Kyle Hamilton.
From the Ravens.
Yep, it gives dude everything you need to know, and like you'll look at it is like says 37.7H, 10.4A, but that's all like code that you would know after you look at it. Be like, oh yeah, we know what A means. A is just X, Y, and Z. That's cool. You kind of label everybody as stuff. But I think this is something that you would really love, especially getting into, what you're getting into right now. You know what I mean? So
seems pretty cool for sure.
And this is kind of cool too. This would help you with like broadcasting, dude. Is it gives you different synonyms. There's it's pages and pages of synonyms for athletic ability, scouting terms.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like just acrobatic agility, balance, body control, change of direction control, drop weight, flexibility, fluid, gifted, hand-eye coordination, herky jerky. There's a good one. But dude, it's pages to this. I think you would really enjoy that.
That's funny.
But
herky jerky, that must be funny when they use one of those. And this guy's got a herky jerky to him.
Yeah, dude, whoever uses that and uses it in the correct terminology, like that guy's been doing it a while.
Yeah, right? I trust him.
Yeah, I trust it exactly. So so not too bad, right? I mean, this is one of the most promising years, Bubbs.
Yeah, 100%. I'm fired up. I keep saying, if not now, when? We got a Hall of Fame quarterback. If we don't win it now, if we don't get to the playoffs now, I don't think we're ever getting to it. And look, Jets fans should have all the confidence in the world. I know it's tough sometimes as a Jet fan to buy yourself in and year out. Mm-hmm. But when you look at how grueling last year was, of course, and the health's the biggest question by far. But this by far is the most talented team we've seen since 2010, and has potentially one of the most talented teams, especially record-wise, since 1998, where they won 12 games. This team could easily go out there, I think, and win 12 games. You're loaded on defense. You have a top 5 defense, and you have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You got a receiver, and that's another thing too. Is like Rodgers going to elevate everybody around him. Garrett Wilson is probably a top 15 receiver right now. He could turn into a top 5 receiver. So you're looking at potentially a top 5 receiver. You have a top 2 running back in my eyes. I mean, I think CMC still has that number 1 crown, but
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Brees is behind him. Mike Williams is a really nice piece. You look at what he's been able to do in his years with the Chargers. You've got an offensive line that has potential to be the best since 2010. I mean, it's looked very good in camp. I think you've got to be fired up for the offensive line. You got a Hall of Famer protecting a Hall of Famer's blind side. It doesn't get much better than that. So I'm fired up. Defensive line. I know the Reddick stuff is still kind of casting over, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, I still think this team is still a top 5 defense without Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
Are they a top 3 defense? Are they maybe the best defense in football with Reddick? Yeah, but they're still a top defense without him. Top 5 in my eyes, which is what they've been. Get Reddick back into a fold. I don't see why this team, and I don't think that this is being a homer. I don't think this is being biased. And this is the biggest problem is people, you remove the Jets logo. And if you just look at this team on paper, they're one of the most talented in football. And there's no reason this team should not make a really strong push on New Orleans in February. No reason.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. You go 12-5 and you look at the division too. I don't think Miami got worse. I don't think they got better though. Buffalo, I think, got significantly worse. Unfortunately, Matt Milano's out for the year, their linebacker, or at least out for a good portion of the year. They lost both their starting safeties. They lost their number 1 and number 2 receiver. Can't downplay that. They got worse. Buffalo.
That's why I think Lewis Cine went over there, because he knew he was going to start.
Yeah, get a bigger role. I agree. I don't think it had anything to do with winning or anything like that. I think it had to do more playing time, which he hasn't gotten in Minnesota and probably wasn't going to get here. Probably would have on the practice squad to start here. So yeah. I agree. But division winners, get a home playoff game, go from there. I mean, a home playoff game at MetLife would just be
electric.
Title game at MetLife to go to the Super Bowl. That environment would be, forget about it.
Let me tell you something, dude. I have not seen a light show like they did last year Monday night. Like, I've never seen them use the lights like that ever. That place was absolutely nuts. That looked like a little pocket that had the biggest celebration in New York. Okay, that's what it looked like. Yeah. I've never seen anything like that. They've never actually put together a light show or anything when we used to go there. Why? Because we weren't that good. We weren't celebrating anything. Imagine a playoff game.
Yeah. Playoff game would be...
No outsiders would make their way inside the stadium, dude.
Yeah. And that's what we've been dying for, I guess, at MetLife. We've just been wanting, ever since that air conditioner has been built, there's been no home field advantage. There's been none. And not all of it's the stadium. I know a lot of people call it a crappy stadium, and I just call it an air conditioner. And it is the world's giant air conditioner. It's not a very good stadium. It's not a very pleasant stadium. But if you put a winning team inside of there, people are going to show up. There's a lot of stadiums across the NFL that aren't very pleasant, that sell out. I mean, it'll be
the nicest air conditioner you'll ever see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if they're hosting an AFC title game and it's a night game, that'll be a nice lit up green air conditioner. Nothing better than that.
A Christmas air conditioner.
Yeah, Christmas air conditioner. Exactly. That's just my message, I guess, to Jets fans too would just be enjoy the season.
Yeah,
I think if they're healthy, it's going to be a heck of a ride. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to be watching actually good football. For so many years we've been watching football that just, even in the wins, it's hard to watch. There hasn't been many wins that have been easy. They're usually all pretty hard to watch, even with the wins. So they feel like more of a relief, some of the wins, than they actually do celebration. It feels like relief. This year, I think it can actually feel like
we got away with it.
Yeah, exactly. The Eagles game, one of the biggest moments last year. We had no business winning that game with the way the offense was playing, and we ended up winning it. It was a big relief. That Giants game was a huge relief. It wasn't celebration. It was just relief. Yeah. You can actually enjoy the W's this year. I think playing with a lead, the defense is...
We didn't have our 2 corners either against the Eagles.
That's
Craig wild.
And, Hey Hey show.
Like, we didn't have Sauce or DJ Reed.
Yeah.
No, Eccles worked out great that game.
Mm-hmm. Even and then you had the Craig James, that big PBU he had in the end zone was huge, and then you had Tay Hayes out there as well. He made some plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the Bryce Hall, All the no
Mm-hmm.
names stepped up. Michael
Yeah.
Carter was out there, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
was.
you were asking Tay Hayes and Craig James to cover AJ Brown. I thought it was gonna be a blowout,
So
and
did I.
I also thought that Chiefs game was gonna be a blowout when the Jets went down 17-0 early on. I'm like, forget about this. This is gonna be. I honestly did not think like it might have actually gotten to the point where it like true embarrassment. I went up 17 in that game. I'm thinking this is gonna be 40-3. It's
Yeah.
but the game back. But yeah, this is it's gonna be one heck of a season. Enjoy the ride. Starts Monday night. Even the home opener. If they're 2-0 going to that home opener, I'm going to the first two home games. So fired up for that. Hopefully, two great environments. If they're 2-0 going to that if they're 2-0 going to that Thursday night game against Brissett, they're gonna dominate him. They crush the Patriots on Thursday night, get to 3-0. This town would be rocking.
I'm going to Nashville. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I'll be going there. Right after our first win in San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's how
hopefully.
and that's how we gotta look at it.
Yep.
Even if we lose, it's like no, we have to have the confidence enough to say, so when we leave and we're 2-0 and we come back home, we have to say it like we mean it.
Yeah. Yeah, and even if we do lose to San Francisco, this should be a team that should have no problem beating Tennessee. I know it's a week-to-week league any given Sunday, but they should at least go into that Thursday night game 1-1 at least. And look, as much as people want to talk about how good San Francisco is, our roster is pretty good too. You know, everyone's like, "Oh, you got to play San Francisco, you got to go on the road." Well, they got to play the Jets too. They got to play us. You know, they got to play our defense. They got to stop our pass rush. They got to contain Garrett Wilson. Like everybody's like, "Oh, Brandon Ayuk's back. That's great." Well, he's gonna have to get by Sauce Gardner. So, you know,
Yeah, it's not like
we got the guys too.
yeah. It's and you know what the thing is, like let him get open in the amount of time that pass rusher is in your face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's what we do well.
Yeah, exactly. Get to the quarterback, play with a lead, pin your ears back, let the pass rush go to work. That would be ideally what happens this season. Linebackers as well. I mean, it's tough. This secondary is tough to get through. So it's gonna be one heck of a year. You know, it's funny. Everybody talked about year 2 with Rodgers. Even last year, everyone's like, "Oh, first year should be good. Year 2 is going to be the big one. Maybe they go out and get Devontae Adams, all that." Here we are. He tore his Achilles. Not really year 1, but year 2. This feels like this is it. It's now.
Yep. Block out the noise. Focus on what's in front of us.
Yep. And I will say this too. We don't need Rodgers to throw 40 touchdowns. If Rodgers throws 40 touchdowns, this team's winning 14 games. If he goes out there and throws 30 touchdowns and 8 picks, 3,700, 800 yards, this will be a 12-win Jet team, no doubt.
So how long before you listen to the Joe Douglas interview, right? Press conference?
Yeah.
How long before a shirt comes out that says Nintendo is my jam?
Oh, yeah. I saw that with the Antoine Staley shirt he was talking about. Yeah, that was funny. Right, and then they ask him a follow-up question on Reddick.
Yeah, dude. He went straight. He's like, "Is that a Zelda shirt?"
Yeah, that was funny.
I was like, "That's perfect. That's how much he does not care about your questions."
No, yeah, he saw. I think he commented more on that than he gave more details on Reddick.
Yeah, he did. It's awesome. And you know what? I think some of these beat writers they need a little bit more of that. They really do. They need a little bit more of like, "Hey, back off."
Yeah. A little bit, add a little bit more fun. No fun league sometimes.
This is true.
So,
all right, Bubbs, where can people find you? I mean, I have it down below, but and where can people find you? And when are you doing your shows?
Yeah, so I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, man.
Love coming on here to talk Jets, talk a little baseball, whatever it is. Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube, Bubbs on Sports. That's the YouTube channel. My Jets podcast, In the Trenches with Gangrene, is under that YouTube channel. Also, In the Trenches with Gangrene, that can be found on all audio podcast platforms. And then on my YouTube page, like I said, Bubbs on Sports. In terms of uploads, I'm with still on summer break. I've been pretty daily uploads. With the season starting, I'll do game previews, game recaps, middle of the week episodes, any news notes around the Jets. Injury updates, press conferences, trades, signings, whatever it is. We talk about it all. We'll have a season preview coming up soon. We'll have some start to dive a little bit more into the 49ers coming up here. So try and get a guest on every week from the opponent. Try and find like an opponent content creator to come on every week to talk about the opponent, to kind of get us ready for both sides. So we'll have that coming up this week as well. But yeah, just pretty much just content whenever it's there. Almost pretty almost daily. I mean, almost, a couple times a week. Game previews, game recaps, all that stuff. Been pretty daily recently, but it's a season starting. Of course, content's kind of really out the seams once the season starts, because you could talk about a whole lot. So,
yeah,
appreciate you having me on as always.
Yeah, of course, man. And what we'll do is I'll probably see it back on Let's Talk Jets Radio. You know what I mean? Like, I always see it on there anyway. So it's like, but yeah,
Definitely.
and if anybody watching this, if you guys are Jets fans and or you want better content, you want a chat room that will go fucking ballistic on you with Sesame Street characters. That is the place to go right there. That and Jake Assman show is also
awesome.
Jake does such a good job.
Yeah.
Which I actually had Tyson and Jake on the last 2 episodes.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, so it's those are 2 really, really good guys. They help out the community a lot, and that it's not just that they're content creators, they help out their community, and that's what I like about them. But Bubbs, thanks for coming on, man, and go Jets, man.
Yeah, let's go. Big year.